You may one day be a stranger in a strange land. And while a lot of things are going to come at you that are different than back home, what about when it applies to a medical condition or health care and you're not receiving the same level of service that you're accustomed to back home? And are there workarounds for it? And what's kind of a worst case scenario, best case scenario? That's what I want to address here in this little video. Okay, so this video is kind of focusing on a health issue, but I think the emphasis of this video is more about some of the little obstacles that can get in your way here, or at least got into my way on making things happen. And these are nuances that I'm sure you've heard myself and others speak about that just kind of make a simple process complicated here in Dumaguete. And I think it applies to other places here in the Philippines in general. This is about healthcare. Now, I'm not complaining about the healthcare that I've received, and I'll get into the specifics of that in just a second. However, it's about how sometimes the simplest things can become almost unbearably complicated, and how it challenges me, and it would challenge anybody, just to get a simple thing that's become complicated, how to overcome it, adapt to it, and try to find a workaround. Okay, so here's my story. If you look under my eye here, you'll see there's kind of a rough patch. And of course, I've got rough patches all over, but this one's extra rough. Anyway, this was a skin tag. I've had it removed 3 times. The first time it occurred was when I was still back in America, and I'll say it was 11 or 12 years ago, that this just growth of skin came and started to pile up and form a rather unsightly lump of skin under my left eye. And when I went to the doctor in America, he simply froze it off. And I asked him, what the hell is that? He goes, well, it's layers of skin that build up and they don't peel off or flake off like your normal skin does. It just piles up on top of each of one another, the cells. And I said, what causes that? And without hesitation, he said, oh, that's old age. I said, thanks, Doc. I love you too. Anyway, him and I had a little laugh, and he just squirted it with some CO2 or whatever it's called, freeze it off, and a week later it fell off, and that was that. About 3 or 4 years ago, that bad boy returned, and I went into my dermatologist here in Dumaguete, a very competent, well-trained dermatologist, highly recommend her. The office is called GLOW, dermatologist, G-L-O. Okay, so I went into her 3 or 4 years ago. This thing came popping back on me. And so she took a look at it. She said, okay, we don't freeze them off, we laser them off. I said, well, whatever, blows your skirt up, it's fine with me. And inexpensively, I think 60, 70 bucks. She scheduled me. I went in a couple days later, and she burned that bad boy off, and all is well. Well, a couple of months ago, that returned, along with another spot on my nose and a bump on my head and something on my back. And they all seem to occur all at the same time. And this time, it was a little different story. The dealio on my back was just a simple little baby wart. So she just zapped that off, no problem. The thing on my nose, the 2 bumps on my head, and the thing under my eye had changed. This was no longer a skin tag. This was now pre-cancer. Nothing, again, it's not cancer. I'm not, I don't want to, ring the bell here. It's a pre-cancer. And if you leave it alone long enough, it could turn into a real problem. And the same thing with the nose, same thing with the bumps on my head. And she went in there and went zap, 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 zap. She got rid of the wart. She got rid of the thing on my nose. She got rid of the bump on my head. And she got rid of, or it seemed she got rid of, the dealio under my eye. And so that was all well and good. And that was about a month ago. And I realized recently, or actually ever since the surgery or the laser treatment, that this had never quite gone away. The one on my nose disappeared. The one on my head disappeared. Of course, the wart on my back disappeared. But this one seemed to linger a little bit. So I went in there a couple, 3 days ago and said, howdy doody, I'm back. I got a little concerned. This thing under my eye didn't seem to, I don't think we got it all first time around. And do you think we could schedule an appointment and maybe we can zap it again and finally be done with it? And she said, she looked at it, she said, no, we can't zap it again. It's beyond zapping. I said, what the hell does that mean? She says, well, it's a little more aggressive than the other ones were. And this one is going to require medication. And I said, oh, okay, what kind of medication? She said, well, it's a little cream, and you're going to apply it. You're going to apply it 3 times a week. And I'll warn you right up front, it's going to cause inflammation, and it's going to cause irritation, and it might get itchy, and it might get painful. But remember, Paul, when that starts getting itchy and painful and inflamed, that means the medicine is working. That's a good sign. And you'll apply it 3 times a week for a month. You'll come back in, we'll check the progress, and we should be cool for school. I said, okie dokie. And they have a little pharmacy right there in below. So she wrote me out the prescription for this medicine. And I said, can I get it here at your pharmacy? And she said, no, we don't have any. We've been trying to get it for over a month, and we just can't get it. It's the proverbial out of stock issue. You've heard of that before if you've watched my videos or anybody else's, that items generally are out of stock. But I don't hear that very often about medication. So I said, well, what do I do? Or what pharmacy should I go to? And her reaction was, she goes, well, you got any friends in Cebu? And I said, yeah, I have friends in Cebu. She goes, that might be where you're going for this medication. I said, no shit. She said, no, it's just the way it is here in Little Dumaguete. And she goes, but try Mercury. Mercury, for those of us that live here, know that they are the ones that have all the good stuff that you need. I said, okay. So yesterday, my little wifey, baby May, and I went over to Mercury and spoke to the young lady and asked her, do you have this in stock? No, we don't. And she knew what it was. She looked right at it. She goes, no, we've been waiting for this. And I said, do you think you'll have it in the near future? And she's perfectly honest with me. She said, you know what, sir? We might have it in 2 weeks, but I don't want to promise you. I said, well, what about Cebu? Do they have it in one of your stores in Cebu? And Mercury Pharmacy is probably the most high-tech setup as anywhere here in the Philippines, more than the LTO or anybody else. She goes, hold on a second, and I'll be happy to check. And she got on the computer, and she says, yeah, we have it in Cebu. She goes, you need 10 sachets, 10 little packets that I use. She goes, they've got 9. I said, wouldn't you figure? I said, okay, will they hold it for me? She said, I don't know. Let me go call. God bless her. Great service. So she goes to the back room, gets a phone, calls the Cebu office, or calls this pharmacy in Cebu, Mercury Pharmacy, and she's got them on the phone. She comes out, and she goes, yes, sir, they'll hold them for you. When do you want to go? And May's got something going on tomorrow. Today is Sunday. It's Monday. May's got a thing. I figured, okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, we can go. I'll fly to Cebu, if you can believe that, get a cab, go to the pharmacy, pick up my 9 out of 10 sachets because they will hold it for me. Depending on how long that takes, in a perfect world, we'd fly in the morning, we'd catch a cab or a Grab, either way, find this pharmacy, go inside, buy it, come back out, head back to the airport, and fly back to Dumaguete. If that wasn't available, or if it ran into the night, or there wasn't a flight, now we're checking into a hotel room. Let's call that $50. The flight, let's call that $150 for the two of us, because they're not that expensive right now. The old cab ride, the medicine itself, which I have no clue how much it cost. But I'm figuring, I'm looking at a $300 bill here and a trip out of town just to pick up some medication. On one hand, I'm grateful that the medication is available, but I just wanted to kind of share this whole story with you, because these are things that can and do and possibly will happen to you or anybody else that's over here. And I just thought I'd be remiss if I didn't make you aware of it. So, that being said, I was planning to, I also asked her, this is very important. I said, is this urgent? I mean, is this something I need to get on right now? And she said, no, you don't have cancer. This is a preliminary thing. This is what happens early on. And it's very common. Don't get excited. And, you can take care of it now. You can take care of it in a month. It doesn't matter. It's not something that we have to jump on this minute. But, of course, the sooner, the better. And I'm a sooner of the better kind of guy. I want to get on it, get it done, and get it over with. So, I just finished having coffee. I'm here at the Henry with my friend Bud Brown. Bud Brown has been ordering a litany of medications for his wife, 6 or 7 of them, that he can't get here. Or if he could, the price, he said, is just like sky high, if I'm remembering our conversation correctly. So he found this dealio called India Mart, and it's kind of a broker for medications. It's out of India, and he orders it, and in 2 weeks, the medication comes through. He once told that on his YouTube channel, and he took all kinds of flack from people saying, oh, you're getting garbage, you don't know what's in the medication. And he said he wished he hadn't made the video for all the weird comments. But he said, you know what, Paul, this medication is identical to the medication we were getting for Gloria in America. It's the same stuff. It's just coming from India. Maybe it originated from India to begin with, and it got shipped to America. However it works out, I'm not at all concerned about this, because I just got a phone call from Bud. While we were having coffee, I pulled out my prescription, and I said, hey, can your India guy hook me up with this stuff? And he sent off a message, and just 2 seconds before I started this video, Bud called me, because he had already left, and he said, good news, the guy's got it, he can get it, and I just don't have a price yet. Do you want all 10? And I said, yeah, give me all 10, give me a number. And so it's going to be the medication plus $25, and then I'll have it within 2 weeks, and then I'll just, me and Bud will work out the money. He'll pay it up front, and then I'll reimburse him, or I'll reimburse him first, and he can put the money in the account. However we work that out, it's nickels and dime stuff anyway. But I got to thinking, you know what? It's so important that, number one, you're able to get on a plane, go to Cebu, and get all this kind of stuff done. Spend $300 or $400 if you have to get what might be a $20 medication. Because if it's an important medication, and the price of it was $400 anyway, you'd buy it, or I would. And I guess there's a multifaceted moral to this story. Number one, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have an emergency fund set aside for things just like this. In my mind, you can't have enough money stashed away for emergencies. This is minor compared to maybe having to take a flight home and be an extended stay, or chemotherapy, or something to that effect. God only knows what that would cost. But if you got to have it done, you got to have it done, or else it's, the end zone for you. So that's one of the little morals. And the other one is something that I really want to emphasize here, is the importance of having an extended association and relationship with other people, and how important that can be, when how reassuring it is for me to know that I can reach out to a guy like Bud who's got something I need, and he can help me with it. He can assist me. He wants nothing from me, and he's more than happy to do it. Now, if I didn't have Bud in my life, I would still be able to go to Cebu and all this, that, and the other. And it's not even a question really of the money, of the $300 or the $400 it might cost to get a hotel and a flight and a cab and some meals, and then not to mention the brain damage of travel. Airports are not my favorite places, probably not yours either. But there's so many little nuances in this story that I think there's takeaways from this. Number one, how do you deal with this thing where I was so used to going in. If I got a prescription, I went to Walgreens or Walmart or Rite Aid or, whatever, and just went and filled it. That was never a question. Out here, sometimes you're up against some of these silly odds of things just not being available, or as we say, out of stock. Used to be that you'd go into a restaurant and order a certain food, and they'd say, well, we're sorry, we don't have that in stock today. The Eggman didn't come or whatever. But this is a different kettle of fish now, isn't it? This is a medication. And this right now is not a critical medication. It's not something I've got to have. And if I don't get it within 3 days, gloom and doom. It's something that I want, something that I need. And just being prepared out here and being ready for those things that you shouldn't have to be ready for because they're new to you. People that have lived here for a long time have learned that the abnormal is kind of the normal. And you just sort of roll with it or you don't. And if you can roll with it, then you can stay here and have a happy and hopefully productive life. If you can't, it may not be the place for you. So, to wrap this up, I'm grateful to Mercury Pharmacy, and I'm grateful to my doctor, and I'm also grateful to my buddy Bud Brown, who's part of my sort of extended family out here. All right, kids, we'll see you next time.